fact, we actually went on tour doing the whole album. Hadn't come out. I mean, can you imagine that?
I know.
Wasn't in the shops.
Planet Rock.
Planet Rock.
So picture the scene. It's 1985. You're a member of one of the most beloved rock bands in the world, and you've sold around about 40 million albums, plus you've produced 2 solo albums of your own. Now, if it was you or me, you might want to put your feet up for a bit. But if you're Mike Rutherford, no. You form another band with some famous friends and you end up selling another 10 million albums under the name Mike and the Mechanics. Clearly still enjoying this. They're out on tour in March 2025. And I'm delighted to say that Mike Rutherford is here to talk about that. Welcome to Planet Rock, Mike.
Good day.
You've also chosen a few of your favourite tunes, which we'll hear along the way, so thank you for picking those. But I thought we'd start by talking about the build-up to the forming of Mike and the Mechanics, because I do an album show on a Sunday night here on Planet Rock, and one of the albums that we get asked to play side one of quite a lot is Small Creeps Day, which was your first solo album. You came out the second one after that. So having produced those 2 on your own, what made you do a collaborative effort with Mike and the Mechanics?
Well, the second album I sang on, and I thought, I never want to do it again.
Did you find it tough?
Yeah, I mean, I've had written songs with and for Peter Gabriel and Phil Collins, 2 great singers. So to write songs for me, you want the best voice you can find.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it's not me. And so that made me think, well, I'll do more of a sort of band formation.
Okay.
And like always, after writing some new songs, how you start. And just sort of worked out.
It did work out in a big way as well. Did the success of it take you by surprise?
Yeah, I mean, listen, the idea that you get Peter Gabriel's success, followed by the Phil Collins success, followed by one more from the band, was pretty unlikely.
Yeah.
So I was very surprised, nicely surprised.
Yeah.
But I think Genesis were unique in one way. I mean, because a lot of bands did solo albums because they were dissatisfied with the main band. In our case, we loved Genesis, having a great time. We just thought, I see Tony Banks and Phil Collins every day. I wanted a year away from them, with different musicians. So it was actually more for variety than anything to do with actually dissatisfaction.
Yeah, I understand. Just thinking about, before we move on to your music, that first album, as I say, it's a particular favourite of the Planet Rock audience, and especially side one of Small Creeps Day. Did you enjoy that album?
I did. That was a pleasure.
Yeah.
Noel McCullough singing it. Yeah, that was a pleasure. I mean, I like the writing. As we said, I had a chance to work with different drummers, different musicians, different singers, which is always inspiring, really.
Great story as well. It's very good.
Good book.
Yes, indeed. So, to your tunes. You've picked some tunes for us. Thank you very much for picking these. We're going to start with Don Henley, Boys of Summer, who I think you've just seen recently.
I was seeing my oldest son in Los Angeles, and on the way back we came via Vegas and the Sphere, and saw the Eagles, and it was absolutely unbelievable.
Really?
I can't tell you how strong it was visually. I mean, because the band are great. They just sort of play. They don't really perform in a sense, beyond playing the songs. But the quality of the visuals in the Sphere was just, if ever you're that way, anybody, it's just mind-blowing.
So March next year, Mike and the Mechanics, it's called Looking Back, Living the Years. I have to say that the reception to this tour has been strong already, hasn't it?
I'm relieved to say it has been.
Is there ever any doubt?
Yeah, always. I mean, I guarantee, even Genesis is always doubt.
No.
Never be ever confident.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, it's great. I mean, because we've been talking a bit over the last few years, because the Mechanics, in the early days, the first band, so to speak, didn't really tour. So when we started touring with Roachford and Tim Howe singing, it was like a whole sort of brand new start. And a bit like a slow building up, going around the venues sort of slightly smaller, as we did sort of 40 years ago.
Was it designed as a studio project then, Mike and the Mechanics, really?
There was no plan at all.
Really?
I mean, basically, no one ever met. We just did a musicians. At the end, we thought, let's call it a band. So the first time everyone met was on a photo shoot for the album. So it was. It's a project in a nice way. And now I'm writing with mainly with Andrew Roachford and Clark Dashter from Johnny Hates Dad.
Yeah.
And Tim Howe a bit. And once again, it's fun to do.
Yeah. And how do you write these days? Do you sort of in a room, or do you swap ideas over email?
I've got a room at home.
Right.
I mean, studios have sort of gone away these days.
Yeah.
It's my writing room, but it's a bigger space and stuff. And people say, how do you write? Well, you start by messing around.
Okay.
And ideas come.
Mainly guitar or keyboard?
I play guitar and guitar synths, so I'm playing strings and stuff on my MIDI guitar.
Oh, right.
And bass pedals, which is my main ingredient.
Yes.
Always play with that. And I get some ideas going, and then Roach comes down and Clark comes down, and we develop them. And it's just, it's my passion, really, writing songs.
Well, isn't that fantastic?
Yeah.
Still there after all this time. Not that I'm saying you're old. Van Halen and Jump. So, tell me about the Van Halen choice.
Well, a couple of things about this. First of all, it's an amazing song. I mean, incredible song. I love the story. Back in the day, I heard it a bit like the singer David Lee Roth was complaining, we're a guitar band. And it's the most amazing keyboard part, really.
It's huge.
Eddie wrote. And then I think Eddie heard a song from my second setup, which I sang. God knows how he thought this. And rang me up and said, will you come and do some writing? I mean, my voice, for God's sake. Anyway, I go to LA, and we arrived there, bring some gear with me, and go to the studio, and he says, hey, Mike, come over about 1:30. And I thought, well, it's going to work for me. A little lunch, over we go. AM. He starts at night time and works through the night. I just couldn't really do that.
No.
We had some sessions. We wrote some songs, bits. I'm not quite sure. I can't find the tape. Quirky stuff, you know what I mean? But it was fun to do.
Be rare if you found it.
I know. I've got a huge 2 boxes of cassettes, but I'm not sure I'm mad enough to go through them.
It takes quite a commitment to go through them.
Lots of cassettes. But it was fun. I mean, he's a great player. We just had some good time. But I just, is that starting at 1:32 a.m. in the morning? It's not my mode.
I take it then, as a recording artist yourself, you're a little more conventional hours than that.
Well, we always start at 11 and go till either 8 or 11,
Okay.
I mean, over the years, we've done late sessions. And to be honest, after about 11 o'clock at night, between 11 and 4 in the morning, you would turn the next day and go, what was all that? I've learnt that. So, and also, it's not how much, it's more the quality of the work you put in.
Of course. You're listening to Planet Rock, My Planet Rocks, with our special guest, Mike Rutherford, who's out on tour next March with Mike and the Mechanics, looking back, living the years. As you say, your band that you've got together now includes, Andrew Roachford, wonderful vocalist. We also hear that Phil's son, Nick, is going to be playing with you as well.
Yeah, he is. He was on the last tour.
He was. I saw you in Manchester playing on that tour, and he's outstanding.
It was fantastic. I mean, he's a fantastic drummer. The nicest young man, really. He always arrives rehearsed 100%.
Right.
I'm kind of going, how's that chord come next, But we've been playing together now for about 15 years, this Mechanics. And I think it's a great fun band to be on stage with. And also Roachford and Tim are so natural on stage that I feel it's relaxed me on stage now.
Right.
I'm more comfortable, I can kind of talk better, chat better. It's just, he sets the atmosphere very well.
And are you a band who, when you're on stage, I mean, we'll talk about the catalogue in a minute because there's such a big one, but is it very well rehearsed, very regimented? Do you have to stick to a certain running order, or do you find the chance to improvise much on stage?
There's some jamming bits, but we always say we're going to change the set. Then you find the set that really works well,
right,
and you stick. Although this time, I've written some new songs, actually. Just about 2 months ago, I thought, I'll do some new songs for the album.
Okay.
It's for the tour, for the tour.
Yeah.
And I said, I'll then play them stage and then put them out afterwards. My wife said to me, put them out after it's all finished, So there's a mad scramble now. I'm going to finish 4 new songs by Friday week.
Oh, my goodness.
It's impossible, but I'm going to do it. The deadline, it's the way deadline works. People just go, I say, if you can't do that day, then you're not going to do it. So things happen.
Yeah, deadlines do, don't they?
Yeah.
They make
so
things happen.
Friday week.
Okay, well, we look forward to...
So am I.
Who knows? Putting those to bed. Let's take another track that you've chosen here. Talk, and It's My Life. Great tune.
It is. They're an amazing band. The songwriting, once again, I'm a songwriter, really. And the song and the chord changes and the voice I love, really. And I remember, unfortunately, we did a Nebworth years ago. Genesis did. And they were supporting us. And they got kind of heckled.
Is that right?
Yeah, bizarrely.
That surprises me from your audience,
yes,
actually.
Exactly. I wasn't there. We hadn't arrived by then.
Yeah.
But I was surprised. Our audience are normally quite, if not like them, polite, I don't know.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they were good enough live, There's some great songs. But I thought he dead, he passed away, didn't he?
Yeah.
But great writing and great sound, too. A mixture of sort of synthy stuff, but real songs, too.
Excellent. You talked about you found a set list that works. It's a big job to pull some of your... you've got a big back catalogue of that band as well, haven't you? So how do you choose?
You just you start with the ones you're going to play.
Yeah, you have to play,
ones, You don't play the whole new album.
No.
Those days have gone. And then you try and vary it. Last time we did an acoustic section for about 15 minutes, which I really enjoyed. and you kind of do little bits of songs, passing through like a half verse and chorus, and it was quite fun to do more of that actually. It takes its shape. And this time, hopefully, some new songs.
Now, how long does it take you to get everything ready? Because, like you say, if you're Nick might turn up fully rehearsed, but you sound like you need a bit of warm up.
We never allow long enough.
Oh, really?
Always, but it's no. I mean, the old songs will come back pretty quickly, but it's just finding. I've got a few ideas to sort of rearrange things and change things a bit.
Does technology changing alter that as well? Or are you able to use equipment that you're able to use when you made the songs?
Musically, it's pretty standard. It doesn't change much. But visually, I love sort of lights and visual stuff. And obviously, the Genesis budget is fantastic. And I've loved all that stuff. Mechanics got no budget, but in a way, it's more challenging. You've got to find a way to actually use what little money you've got.
Yeah.
And it's gone well so far. I've got a great idea for this time. I'm going to see next week. To do something, it's like value for money is what I call it.
It sounds like you're also very, very involved in everything.
Yeah, I mean, Genesis, I've always loved the Genesis sort of story with lights and visuals and stuff. And actually, I was saying earlier about talking about the Eagles and the Sphere. I wish Genesis were around now to do the Sphere.
Right.
We'd have been just tailor-made for something like that.
Yeah. Excellent. Let's take another tune here. Prince, Purple Rain. Tell me about that.
What a guitar solo, for a start. I mean, amazing. And I often think, I hate doing this sort of like, in our day, but it was easier to sound original in our day. There was less music around. And you hear a Prince song and you know before it starts, or before you into the verse, it's Prince. Before he sings, it's got a sound to it. A lot of older bands, our era, I think, have more of a sound because nowadays, every single drum sound or every single sound ever made is on your laptop.
Yeah.
It's harder to be sonically original. It's no one's fault. There's great songs around.
For yourself, looking at Genesis, you were a players band, so you talked about how Eagles didn't really prance around the stage very much, and you were the same. You were players and playing. You, by doing that, influenced a lot of guitarists yourself. Who were some of your influences at the start?
I mean, what a time I had, Hendrix, Eric, the Beatles, who were great guitarists, so many great bands, the Kinks. More songwriting players than obviously Eric and Hendrix are amazing. But there was so much new sound going around when I was growing up.
Let's play a bit of Hendrix to demonstrate that. You've picked Hey Joe, which I still think is one of the best things he ever did.
I agree, one of the best solos too, actually. Very laid back, effortless solo. And it's funny, Hendrix's career was, for all the reasons, short, but even without his early death and passing, the first album was the album. I mean, nothing like it I'd ever heard before. And after that, a couple of albums, but it was such a peak of the first album.
Yeah.
And the whole world was kind of shocked by this, an amazing player. As well, the likes of Eric and Jeff Beck, they was kind of blown away by him too.
I know he was around very early in your career, but did you ever get to meet him? Hendrix?
No, I didn't know.
Okay.
Shame, no.
Yeah, a shame. The other thing that is worthy of mention, actually, is that also next year we're going to get a chance to hear a special box set marking the anniversary of Lamb Lies Down Broadway, which, and looking at the box set, it looks like an amazing package.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, the albums, I think for Genesis fans, it's one of the most popular albums in the early era. And I think it's a great piece of work. And I think sometimes the fact we actually went on tour doing the whole album hadn't come out. I mean, can you imagine that now?
I know.
Wasn't in the shops.
The days before the bootlegs.
The whole thing was a brave process. A little hard work because we were against the clock a bit with the tour coming up, and Peter under pressure and the band under pressure. But often from that comes some great ideas, great stuff.
It's a fantastic album. It's beloved. And I read this thing from Steve Hackett, who said he thinks the audiences were confused and thrilled in equal measure. Did you get that sense?
I think he's probably right. I mean, we're playing the Aragon Ballroom in Chicago, and they hadn't heard the album. And we do 4 sides of the album, start to finish, and then a couple of The Knife and something else. But they kind of I think they got the intensity of it.
Yeah. Was it always conceived as a double album? Or did it just happen that
No, I think it probably was, because in those days, a single album was quite short. You had a lot of ideas all the time. A lot of us writing ideas, almost too many ideas for one album, and so I think you get a freedom doing a double album.
What do you remember? That was Peter. You mentioned Peter's last album with you, but do you remember? Was it an enjoyable time recording it?
It was, I wouldn't say it was probably not so enjoyable as compared to most of them, because it was just under pressure, really. And then Pete sort of left in the middle of the writing, then came back, and I sensed it was time. It was the start of the next stage for him and for us. I mean, it was all kind of amicable when it happened, but it's still a sort of bit of a wrench, you know.
And when it came to remastering, because the album's been remastered, as far as I saw, it's an Abbey Road remaster. It's you've gone back to the original source tapes. Were you involved much, or do you get involved in much of that?
No, that's more, I think, Nick Davis and probably slightly more Tony Banks.
Right. Okay.
He's the keeper of the keys, I call him.
The keeper of the keys.
Yeah, but it's nice. We've still got, we've still got the old 2-inch masters. It's quite nice to have.
Yeah, I'm amazed that they still work. It's one they must be pretty
They have to be
rare
now.
now.
They bake them. They put them in a thing so they don't loosen up the oxide.
Gosh, it sounds like a very dodgy.
It's a different time now. I think you've got little hard drives and computers. Yeah.
I know, but at the same time, it's obviously going to be a great one. There's also a live. There is for the first time, I think, a full live version of Lamb Lies Down in the box set as well.
Yeah, that was good. I mean, the thing is, I always thought we sounded better on stage than on record.
Did you used to record much of what you were doing then? As you were saying, it's a brave thing to go and play a whole album live anyway. But did you used to record much anyway?
Not live. I mean, because it was a big deal in those days.
Yeah.
Nowadays, you just do every show you record because it's on the mixer. Virtually.
Yeah.
In those days, you had to get a whole mobile recording studio in and do the whole process.
Right.
I kind of wish we'd recorded more, actually.
Well, yeah, like you say, it's just a lot of money, I guess.
Yeah.
To do that. Let's get back to some of your songs. You mentioned the Kinks already. You've picked You've Really Got Me. Tell me why is that?
One of the first, and still is one of the best riffs. I mean, an amazing sound, actually. Hasn't really aged either. I think it's incredible. And the producer, I forgot his name, American guy, he came into England for like a sort of 6-week summer holiday, and he just passed recently, and made amazing records. And I think just the sound, I mean, and the Kinks were just, first of all, not only just the track and the music, Ray's voice and the lyrics were incredible. So English.
Very much so. I'm pleased to see you picked a Genesis tune. You didn't pick anything by Mike and the Mechanics, but we'll sort that out in a short while. From my favourite Genesis album, actually, which came out around 1986, I think it was.
87, yeah.
And had such a, because I was kind of into rock music, but I was also into electronic music and how that was going. That had a lot of elements on there that I really, really enjoyed. Plus the long version of Tonight, 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 which I think is an all-time classic. You've gone for Land of Confusion. First of all, tell us about your memories of recording that album.
It was fun. It was fast. I mean, myself, Phil and Tony, we worked fast. Phil especially worked fast, which I like momentum.
Yeah.
And this is the last song we mixed.
Oh, really?
And the last song we sang, because I remember, I wrote the lyrics on this one. I remember I was in bed with Flu, and they had one song to sing. Phil came to the house, sort of by the side of my bed, and said, "What's that word say?" You know what I mean? And it's a great song. I mean, I think I'm proud of it. And actually, the other day, well, a couple of years ago, I was getting a little bass sample off.
Right.
We did it live on a mechanics tour once, and some of the drum parts Phil put on are amazing. Little drum machine stuff. There's so much in there which you don't really hear till you analyse it. And of course, be able to tell that. Remember the video we did with Spinning Ridge?
Well, yeah, I was going to ask you about that. How you felt about that?
I loved it. It's fantastic. I mean, to tell my children or grandchildren, I've been in a film with Madonna, Hope, Jagger. I mean, all those Margaret Thatcher.
Of course.
It was a very funny, clever idea, actually.
It was, yeah. Was that your band's idea?
No, it wasn't. It came from our producer, Jim Ukic.
Right.
We actually won a Grammy for it.
Yes, indeed. No, it's super.
Bizarre, but it was, and it's a protest song, but not really. So, and it's still quite apt right now. You've got Reagan pushing the button at the end, and you've got Trump. So,
well, it's one of the things I was going to say. Lyrically, unfortunately, it hasn't aged. You'd think by now we'd learn something.
Exactly, yeah.
But it's as relevant now as ever it was.
It's good and bad, yeah.
Now, Mike and the Mechanics out on tour next March, starting in Glasgow, running right the way through, actually the whole month, and you're going pretty much all over the UK. So this is going to be quite a grueling tour for you. You finish up at the end of April at the Royal Albert Hall. Do you enjoy the process of touring still?
Yeah, I mean, so many guys complain about the travelling. Of course, it's not very much fun. I mean, but it's what it is. Genesis, obviously, you're actually carried from the plane to the gig.
Yeah,
it's so spoiling. Mechanics is no private travel, but it's just a fun bunch to be with. I love the shows, and England's not too big.
No.
I kind of like 2 days on, 2 shows, day off. I'm fine with that. I find 2 days off a bit too much. I sort of
Do you go home between, or do you tend to stay out?
Not much, because
Yeah.
I'm not that close. And secondly, you kind of you're in on tour mode. You know, you, get home, you sort of get muddled as to what you're doing. But,
Yeah.
you know, as I said, it's just a fun bunch of guys to be with, travelling, hanging out with, and being on stage with.
And the final gig at the Royal Albert Hall. I mean, how do you find the Royal Albert Hall? Because some bands love it, some bands don't so much.
The sound's improved now. Over the years, it's got its own PA now, apparently, since I was last a much better one. As long as you don't play too loud,
Yeah.
it's kind of all right. But it's the last show in the UK. In fact, the first list of the tours, the first dates I got, it went Albert Hall, Basingstoke. I said, I can't finish the tour. You know, Albert Hall, great. I can't finish the tour in Basingstoke. So it's been put earlier.
Move those around. Let's go with some Bob Seger now. You've chosen a classic, The Hollywood Nights.
He's amazing musician. I mean, all the songs and his lyrics seem very simple, but they're quite clever. I mean, I'm a real big fan of his, actually. And back in the day, I mean, I play them now, and they still click in with me very much. And I've discovered one the other day. Clarkson is a huge fan too, and he said, you must hear this song, I hadn't heard before. It's Turn the Page.
Yes, Turn the Page.
Which actually I go, yeah.
That's what it's like
That's
on the
being
road.
on the road, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. He's a great, he's a genius lyricist. But then if you think about, as you say, you mentioned you're very into words, things like, songs like, we've heard Land of Confusion, Follow You, Follow Me, which were yours. I think do you enjoy the whole songwriting process, or are you more comfortable as a lyricist?
No, I'm more comfortable with the music.
Okay.
That's always easier.
Oh, that's interesting.
The thing about lyrics, if it comes with if you write the main line, like "Oil is a miracle,"
Yeah.
you know, not a cup of coffee. If that comes with a song, then it's easy.
Yeah.
So when you're trying to find the title or the main hook afterwards, it's harder.
You're not the sort who carries a notebook around with you all the time and jots things
I am,
down.
and I do. Well, no, not. I've got my iPad. I've got bits.
Oh, yes, we've moved on.
Yeah. I've always got bits and bobs, but you can't. Got a great phrase, but you've got to marry the chords and the melody.
Yeah.
And it's often hard to do afterwards.
Understood. Are you still enjoying the music business as much as ever you did?
I'm not sure I'm really part of it. You know what I mean? I can't recognise what it is now compared to what it was.
Right.
Of course I can't. It's a different business. Sort of social media platforms, you know. We used to go on tour in America. We'd do a day of press in LA, a day of press in New York. That was it. That was your show.
That was it.
That was it. And the odd late night radio show, you know. Late night radio show.
Yeah.
It has changed so much, I can't really recognise it. I think it's hard for younger bands.
Yeah.
I really do feel if you're young, you know, in our day we could sell a few records enough to make the next album and have a living, but it's just so tough now, I think.
Well, I suppose so, yes. I hear lots of bands say that. Though at the same time, the opportunities when you were starting, when you were getting together with the guys for those first few records, the opportunities to get a recording contract were, I mean, that was really rare, wasn't it? Really scarce.
Yeah. And okay, now you can be found out, everyone can listen to the internet.
Yeah.
And you can get to make a record now is quite easier. So that's easier, but I just think it's just got... it's got harder because there are much more artists. Simple as that.
Yeah, there is that. There's many more people. As you say, everyone's working with the same sounds pretty much now, so yeah, it's more difficult. Never a problem for the Rolling Stones. You've chosen Start Me Up. Tell me why.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a huge Stones fan. Who isn't really? I think one of the keys is that, you know, if you've got a great guitar riff, and there are many that Keith did, to then write a lyric over it or a tune over it and not get in the way, that's the key. Kind of like AC/DC in a way, you know. A fabulous. So often you write have some guitar riffs in Genesis, bits you're working on, which sounded great, but then you just sing over it, and it's kind of beat it up. You've got to find a way to sing with it, like he does on this song, Mick does on this song, or sing around it, and it's quite a skill.
So a lot of the songs you've chosen do have that. They've got very strong riffs, very strong, not simple songs, but very strong. And when you compare that to some of the things that you're writing yourself as part of Genesis, did you ever get bogged down in that musical process then, or do you find your way through that as well?
Yeah, I think being in a band is good because you buzz off. You know, if someone's having a slow day or bogged down with their parts, you're carried by the other person. That's why I always co-write.
Yeah.
Because I want someone in the room to sort of say yes or no or carry me through a bad bit, you know. And it's satisfying that way, I think. It's and the key is not to analyse it too much. I don't know how I write songs. No one really knows how you write a song. And just enjoy the process.
It's that Neil Young thing of I don't write songs, I just write them down, something like that, isn't it?
About right, yeah.
Mike Rutherford is our guest on My Planet Rocks this week, picking some of his favourite songs. Thank you for choosing those. One band that you haven't picked anything from is Mike and the Mechanics. And I wonder if you had the choice of any of your back catalogue, what you'd like to play.
Well, no one asked me to, so I thought I shouldn't push myself, you see.
No, it's very modest of you. It's very modest.
I'll tell you what, Silent Running.
Why?
Because it's the first single that came out, and it went in America and just took off bizarrely. And the first day I mixed it was during the Live Aid show.
Oh, right.
Air Studios at the weekend. I missed it all. And the first mix was rubbish. It was all bass and drums. And I went into the producer and said, this is crap. Turned a keyboard up.
Yeah.
And the next day he'd gone mad, and it was fantastic.
Right.
And once again, it sort of shows a nice mix, a bit like we are now, having an R&B singer, which was Paul Carrick and now is Roachford, singing songs that aren't very R&B. Is part of what we do, I think, in a way.
Did as you say, in America, it just went stratospheric. Did that surprise you?
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Surprised me, my manager, the record label. But it was a nice... when that song first came in with the track after the intro, it's a big moment, actually, which I still enjoy when I hear it.
Brilliant stuff. Well, we'll play Silent Running. It's been brilliant to have you in. Thank you so much for coming in, Mike, and all the best for the tour next year.
Thanks very much.
And we look forward to hearing much more from you over the coming years.
I'll see you at the Albert Hall or Basingstoke.
What a choice.
Which would you choose? Actually, poor old Basingstoke.
Planet Rock. Planet Rock.